I decided to do a tribute to all those people who made Las Vegas what it is. Frank and Dean and Sam and Bobby Darin and on. They were all friends of mine.
Wayne Newton, the living symbol of Las Vegas, once hailed as Mr. Las Vegas, with his velvet voice and tens of thousands of dazzling performances. He once had it all: the blinding lights, palatial mansions, million-dollar Arabian horses, and the admiration of the world. But that very light also burned him down. Behind the thunderous applause lay mountains of debt, endless lawsuits, business dreams that turned into disasters, and a reputation corroded by mafia rumors and humiliating scandals. What seemed like eternal glory became a prison, forcing Wayne Newton, at 83, to remain on stage, no longer as a triumphant star, but as a survivor carrying the scars of a collapsed life of luxury. Wayne Newton was born on April 3, 1942, in Norfolk, Virginia, into a poor family. His father, Patrick Newton, worked as a mechanic. His mother, Evelyn Marie Smith, was a homemaker devoted solely to the family. His bloodline was a complex mix: English, Irish, Scottish, Welsh, German, and with it, the belief that his mother carried Cherokee ancestry and his father Powhatan roots, though neither was officially recognized by any tribe. This blend of heritage later became part of the story he told to affirm his identity. Wayne Newton's childhood was shadowed by constant fear of illness that could claim his life at any moment. He suffered from severe asthma, so much so that in 1952, the family moved permanently to Phoenix, Arizona at the doctor's recommendation, hoping the dry heat would be better for him. Amid long days of battling sickness, Wayne Newton found solace in music. He taught himself piano, guitar, steel guitar, and began singing with his brother Jerry at just 6 years old. The two brothers joined every talent show they could, winning the Lou King Rangers talent show and catching the attention of promoter Tom Chauncey of KOOL-TV, who gave them their own program, Rascals in Rhythm. From there, Wayne and Jerry traveled widely, performing in touring shows of the Grand Ole Opry, appearing on ABC's Ozark Jubilee, singing before President Dwight D. Eisenhower, and competing on Ted Mack's Original Amateur Hour, though without success. At North High School in Phoenix, Wayne Newton was class president in 10th grade and joined the ROTC, showing leadership qualities early on. But the turning point came in 1958, when a Las Vegas promoter signed the brothers for a 2-week engagement at the Flamingo. The reception was so overwhelming that they were offered a year-long contract. Newton, still in the middle of his junior year, made the bold choice to drop out of school and pursue the stage, a decision filled with both risk and promise. At 18, while his peers were preparing for military service, Wayne Newton was classified as available only in case of emergency because of his asthma. He chose another path, performing for U.S. troops overseas, the beginning of his dual image as both the voice of Las Vegas and the spiritual companion of American soldiers. After years of roaming the Las Vegas circuit, Wayne Newton's chance to step into the national spotlight came in 1962. On the Jackie Gleason Show, he performed Danny Boy. The heartfelt rendition touched audiences across America, and within the next 2 years, Newton became a familiar face, appearing 12 times on what was then considered the cathedral of entertainment television. That breakthrough led him to bigger stages. At the Copacabana in New York City, he met singer Bobby Darin, who not only offered guidance, but personally took Newton under his wing. Darin produced records for him and even handed him a rare gift, the song Danke Schoen, originally intended for Darin himself. With his velvet voice, Wayne Newton made the song his own, carrying it to number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1963 and etching his name permanently into the current of American pop music. Newton soon began branching into television. In 1965, he guest starred on The Lucy Show as a farm boy, innocent, wide-eyed, singing alongside animals. The role was small, but left such an impression that CBS considered building an entire sitcom around the character. Yet, on Lucille Ball's own advice, Newton turned it down. "If you take it, you'll be trapped as the naive boy and it will be hard to escape." It was a bold decision, proving his resolve to preserve his path even at the cost of immediate fame. With his voice, stage magnetism, and shrewd choices, Wayne Newton grew beyond being just a Las Vegas phenomenon. He became a nationwide star, a familiar figure in American pop culture of the early 1960s. After Elvis Presley's death, and as the Rat Pack entered their twilight years, Las Vegas needed a new face to keep its flame alive. Wayne Newton quickly rose as the pillar of the Strip, the man the public instinctively regarded as the soul of the city's casinos and showrooms for 2 decades. He commanded the biggest stages, Desert Inn, Frontier, Sands, with performances stretching up to 3 hours, holding audiences through music, stories, and his signature charm. Attendance records kept falling to Newton, elevating him to an irreplaceable stature. Esquire magazine once described him as the highest-paid star in Las Vegas history, surpassing even Elvis Presley and Frank Sinatra at his peak. Beyond the Vegas stage, Newton continued to release hit records. In 1972, Daddy Don't You Walk So Fast sold over 1 million copies, certified RIAA Gold, climbing to number 4 on the US charts and topping the charts in Australia and Canada. The album of the same name reached number 25 on the Billboard 200, proving his reach extended far beyond nightclubs into the mainstream record market. He also appeared in major television programs and international events. In 1975, he joined Glenn Campbell live in London on the BBC. By 1983, he was chosen to perform at the 4th of July celebration on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., after a controversial decision by Interior Secretary James G. Watt. That moment cemented Wayne Newton not only as a Vegas star, but as a voice recognized by the nation. From the 1970s through the early 1990s, Wayne Newton was no longer just the Danke Schoen singer of the 1960s. He had become the ultimate Vegas icon, a stage phenomenon every visitor to the city longed to witness at least once. By the 1980s, Newton no longer wanted to remain a hired hand on Vegas stages. For years, he had been bound by contracts controlled by entertainment companies under the Howard Hughes empire, and his hunger to escape that dependence pushed him to dream bigger, to become a true owner. His target was none other than the Aladdin Hotel and Casino, one of the Strip's symbols of opulence. To realize this bold plan, Newton sought outside investors, including Guido Penosi, a figure rumored to have mafia ties. That partnership ignited a media firestorm unlike anything in Mr. Las Vegas's career. In 1980, NBC aired an investigative report alleging that Wayne Newton had leaned on organized crime to secure the Aladdin purchase. The broadcast shocked the public. A man long seen as the polished entertainer was suddenly suspected of dealings with the underworld. Newton responded by suing NBC for defamation. At first, he scored a victory. The court awarded him $19.3 million in damages. That figure was later reduced to $5.2 million. And eventually, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals overturned the judgment entirely. The court's reasoning: there was no evidence NBC had acted with malice or willfully reported falsehoods. The outcome left Wayne Newton with no way to erase the heavy cloud of suspicion hanging over his name. The damage went far beyond losing the lawsuit. Newton's image suffered deep and lasting harm. Once the face of Vegas glamour, he was now shadowed by allegations of mafia ties. The public began to view him with doubt. Were those dazzling nights of performance fueled by shady deals? From this moment on, Wayne Newton's career path became stained with controversy, marking the beginning of an unending chain of financial and legal scandals. After the media storm of the early 1980s, Wayne Newton entered a stage where the spotlight could no longer conceal his financial collapse. From a performer once hailed as the King of Las Vegas, he gradually became a living example of a star spending far beyond his means. In 1992, Wayne Newton declared bankruptcy, with debts estimated at $20 million. Among them was $341,000 owed to the IRS. The blow not only humiliated him, but also ushered in years of mounting debt and lawsuits. By 2000, Newton again found himself a target of IRS investigations. He was accused of failing to report income from the $200,000 sale of an Arabian horse. His wife, Kathleen, was charged with not declaring nearly $400,000 in income in 1999 and over $500,000 in 1999-2000 from the family's businesses. At the same time, Newton was alleged to have overreported employee wages, leading to additional penalties. His lawyer hit back sharply. "It is the IRS that owes Wayne Newton money." The troubles didn't stop there. In 2005, the IRS sued Newton again for failing to pay $1.8 million tied to a house he had sold. By 2009, he was sued for something almost absurd: unpaid bills for hay to feed his horses. A seemingly trivial detail that exposed the depth of his financial desperation. In 2010, the pressure escalated further. Longtime friend O. Bruton Smith filed a lawsuit demanding repayment of $3.35 million Newton had borrowed but failed to return on time. That same year, he was forced to pay around $500,000 to his former private pilot, yet another strike against both his pride and his pocket. One lawsuit after another turned the once celebrated Mr. Las Vegas into a bitter punchline. By the late 2000s, multiple sources claimed Newton, at 80, was totally broke. The man who had owned palatial estates, million-dollar horses, and private jets was now shackled by tax bills, lawsuits, and inescapable loans. Amid this spiral of financial ruin, Wayne Newton gambled on a new bet, not in a Las Vegas casino, but on his very own stage. In 1997, he partnered with famed singer and host Tony Orlando to open the Talk of the TOWN, a 2,100-seat theater. The initial expectations were sky high, two veteran stars joining forces to create a new entertainment hub, turning the venue into one of Las Vegas's hottest attractions. But reality was harsh. Each night, attendance ranged only from 360 to 900 people, never once filling the 2,100-seat hall. With a $2 million lease, the project quickly became a crushing financial burden. Before the theater could recover, a scandal sent everything into free fall. Orlando's son discovered hidden recording devices in their shared office. Orlando immediately accused Wayne Newton of planting them to spy on him. Newton denied it, claiming they were nothing more than poor-quality show taping equipment, practically useless. But for Orlando, trust was already broken. A friendship of more than 30 years ended in bitterness. Newton later reflected, "I've never ended a friendship over money, but he did." By 1998, the two had stopped performing together. A year later, in 1999, Newton officially renamed the venue the Wayne Newton Theater, taking on the entire burden himself. Instead of rescuing his image and finances, the talk of the TOWN only deepened the tragedy. Grand ambition, swift failure, and a friendship shattered beyond repair. If Las Vegas was Wayne Newton's eternal stage, then Casa de Shenandoah was the material embodiment of both his dream and his downfall. Spanning nearly 40 acres in the heart of Las Vegas, Casa de Shenandoah was once Newton's proudest creation. He built it as his own private world, a ranch of million-dollar Arabian horses, aviaries of rare birds, garages full of luxury cars, man-made lakes, and lush gardens. Newton made no secret of his ambition to turn the estate into the Graceland of Las Vegas, a destination that would serve as a museum of his memorabilia, alongside dining, weddings, even a car wash. An opulent world anyone could step into and feel the aura of Mr. Las Vegas. In 2001, he entered into partnership with CSD LLC, led by Lacey and Dorothy Harbour. The deal brought Newton a fortune, though the numbers remain murky. Some reports claim CSD invested $50 million and paid Newton $19.5 million, while others suggest a $70 million project with $20 million going into his pocket. Either way, the dream quickly spiraled into a nightmare. After years of delays, by 2012, CSD sued Newton for refusing to hand over memorabilia and assets, accusing him of deliberately remaining at Casa de Shenandoah as if he had never planned to leave. The accusations came with shocking details. Hundreds of tons of horse manure piled as high as a man's head, stalls reeking of urine, penguins and wallabies neglected in filthy conditions, and guard dogs attacking workers, forcing them to scramble onto cars or trees for safety. Some employees even accused Newton of harassment, describing wet and disgusting kisses they said they were forced to endure. When the scandal broke, the bankruptcy court ordered Casa de Shenandoah to be put up for sale at an estimated $50 million. In reality, the property was listed for $70 million in 2013, but dropped to $30 million by 2014. The Newton family was forced to leave, retreating into two smaller homes worth only about $5 million combined. A bitter contrast to the palatial estate he had once proudly showcased on television. By 2015, a temporary agreement allowed Newton to return to Casa de Shenandoah and open tours, inviting visitors to view his memorabilia, admire the horses, and stroll through the grounds. But instead of generating steady income, the project angered neighbors with noise and traffic chaos, sparking disputes with local authorities. Just a year later, Casa de Shenandoah was sold, marking the end of Newton's dream of a personal empire. In 2018, tours ceased entirely under the pretense of renovations and never reopened. Casa de Shenandoah, meant to stand as proof of a glorious career, ultimately became a legal and financial nightmare. It swallowed tens of millions of dollars while dragging Newton's reputation to the bottom, transforming Mr. Las Vegas from a symbol of glamour into a headline for debt, lawsuits, and scandal. In 2007, Wayne Newton stunned the public again with a detail straight out of satire. He abandoned his private jet at Oakland Airport. Once a symbol of his wealth and high-class lifestyle, the aircraft now sat decaying, too costly to repair. Airport staff reported it was practically derelict, its body rusting, its systems so degraded it could no longer fly. Newton no longer had the means to maintain it, and the plane quickly became undeniable evidence of his decline. 3 years later, in a baffling decision, he had the jet dismantled, shipped to Las Vegas, and reassembled in the yard of his estate. The resurrected plane could no longer fly. It simply sat there, visible from the street, an odd piece of decoration. To many, it was a bitter symbol. From the pride of an A-list star to the hollow shell of a life of excess now rotted away. That image made Casa de Shenandoah, and Newton himself, even heavier in the eyes of the public. It was no longer a dazzling dream, but a surreal sight of a legend imprisoning himself within the ruins of once glittering memories. In his 60s then, he stood in the yard, staring at the grounded jet as though staring into a harsh truth. The old glory was nothing more than a coat of paint, peeling with time. Stepping into the 21st century, though no longer at the peak of his 1970s and 1980s fame, Wayne Newton proved that the lights of Las Vegas never fully dimmed for him. Instead of massive, continuous residencies, he shifted toward television and nostalgia-driven shows, where audiences came not only to hear his voice but to relive memories of another time. In 2005, he appeared on E's reality series, The Entertainer. Contestants vied for the chance to perform with Newton and headline their own one-year show. It kept him in the rhythm of modern entertainment while allowing him to use his name to mentor younger artists. By 2007, Newton returned to Vegas in multiple roles. He introduced players at the NBA All-Star Game hosted in the city and sang "Viva Las Vegas," a song that had practically become his life's anthem. That same year, he joined Dancing with the Stars with partner Cheryl Burke. Though he was eliminated in the third round, his appearance showed television audiences a resilient Mr. Las Vegas, unafraid to take on new challenges in his later years. He also became the first celebrity guest on The Price is Right, taped right on the DWTS set, an unusual but memorable crossover of two popular formats. In 2009, Newton launched Once Before I Go at the Tropicana, a temporary farewell to the stage. True to his word, by 2010 he announced a hiatus, choosing to rest his voice and spend more time with family while preparing for the next chapter of his career. His comeback arrived in 2016 at Bally's with the lounge show Up Close and Personal. This time, Newton made a distinct impression. He not only sang, but also played up to 13 self-taught instruments. It was also a strategy to preserve his voice during frequent shows, especially at Fremont. The program featured clips from his film and television work, transforming the show into a heartfelt journey through his past. In 2019, after more than 30,000 performances on the Strip, Newton celebrated 60 years in show business with Mr. Las Vegas at Caesars Palace, January to May 2019. During the shows, he repeatedly expressed his special bond with Caesars, the partner that had stood by him through many highs and lows. When the COVID-19 pandemic temporarily silenced Las Vegas, Newton still appeared in a 2020 Caesars Entertainment television commercial broadcast across North America. His warm message, Las Vegas missed its audiences, and above all, he, the man keeping the flame of Mr. Las Vegas, missed them too. In these later years, Wayne Newton was no longer the box office powerhouse he once was, but he remained a steady presence, a living witness of Las Vegas itself. From reality shows to lounge performances, his persistence proved he never accepted fading into the shadows. The spotlight may have softened, but it carried more nostalgia than ever before. Behind the bright lights of Las Vegas, Wayne Newton remained a man deeply tied to his family, the one anchor he could rely on amid endless financial crises and scandals. His first marriage, to Elaine Okamura, lasted from 1968 to 1985. They had one daughter together. Though the relationship ended in divorce, Newton never abandoned his role as a father, always striving to make time for his child, despite his grueling performance schedule. After nearly a decade alone, he married again in 1994, this time to Kathleen McCrone, an attorney from Ohio. The couple had one daughter, and Kathleen became the most important support system in Newton's life, standing by him through years of lawsuits, debt, and scandal. Yet even family was not spared from turbulence. In 2010, Newton's daughter suffered severe complications during pregnancy, delivering prematurely and falling into a coma. It was the moment when Mr. Las Vegas confronted the greatest fear of any father, losing his child before his eyes. Newton reportedly declared he was willing to pay whatever it takes to save her. Thankfully, she survived, but the ordeal left a permanent scar in Newton's heart, a reminder that no financial disaster could compare to the terror of losing a loved one. Age, too, began to leave its mark. In 2021, a serious spinal injury forced Newton to postpone his return to the stage. For an artist who considered the stage his lifeblood, stepping away for health reasons felt like a heavy sentence. Even so, he remained resolute. As long as he could stand, he would keep singing until the very last moment. In his 80s, an age when many of his peers have long retreated into the shadows, Wayne Newton still chooses to remain in the light. After the pandemic, he signed a partnership with Caesars and continued performing in smaller venues, where the closeness between artist and audience was so intimate you could hear every laugh, every clap. Newton didn't just sing, he told stories, answered fans' questions directly, and turned each show into a warm, personal conversation. The force keeping him on stage is a paradox: passion and pressure. Newton has always insisted that the stage gives him breath and life, that it is the place where he feels truly alive. Yet after decades of lawsuits and debt, finances remain a burden that likely compels him to maintain his schedule. Each performance is both a joy and a way of paying the price for his extravagant past. Though his workload is far lighter than during his golden years, the seats still fill. Audiences come not only to hear the voice that once defined Las Vegas, but also to witness the resilience of a man who has weathered every storm and still refuses to let go. To them, Newton's return proves that an artist's spirit can outlast any scandal. During the pandemic, he appeared in a Caesars commercial with a simple, moving message: "We've missed the nightlife, but most of all, we've missed you." It was more than an invitation for visitors to return to Vegas. It felt like a heartfelt confession from Newton himself. He needs the stage, and he needs the audience as a way to exist after all that has been lost. For more than 6 decades, Wayne Newton has become a face almost synonymous with Las Vegas. No other entertainer has been so deeply tied to or so instrumental in shaping the city. He was called Mr. Las Vegas, not only for tens of thousands of performances, but because his very presence became part of the city's identity. like the neon lights, the casinos, or the legends of Sinatra and Elvis before him. Newton's influence was never just about the number of shows. He proved that an artist could live off Las Vegas, and that Las Vegas itself could thrive because of an artist. He helped pioneer the era of residencies, long-term contracts for performers at a single hotel, a model that has since become the backbone of the city's entertainment industry, carried on by modern stars like Celine Dion, Elton John, Britney Spears, and Lady Gaga. To loyal audiences, Newton was never just a singer. He was a symbol of endurance, proof that art can exist alongside hardship. Even as his reputation was eroded by debts, lawsuits, and scandals, his image remained etched in the memories of generations as the man who turned every night in Vegas into a celebration. Wayne Newton's legacy, then, carries two sides. On one hand, the immortal light of Mr. Las Vegas. On the other, a reminder of the brutal price that extravagance, ambition, and mismanagement can exact. His life story stands as a lesson for younger artists, that behind the glory there are shadows that should never be ignored. Wayne Newton has lived his entire life under the lights of Las Vegas, and it was those very lights that exacted too heavy a price. Behind the applause stood a man burdened with debt, shattered dreams, and an old age stripped of peace. Yet even as his body weakened, he chose to keep singing. Perhaps because only on stage did Newton still feel that he truly existed. Looking at him at 83, we don't just see a legend dragged down by tragedy. We see a man who carries real pain, but refuses to surrender. And maybe that is why audiences still applaud him, not for the glory that has faded, but for the resilience that remains. This story is not Wayne Newton's alone. It invites each of us to reflect on the light and shadow within our own lives. And you, when you think of Wayne Newton, what moves you most? A particular show or a moment or an image of him that still lingers? Share your thoughts in the comments, because sometimes the audience's memory is the most living legacy an artist can ever have. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss the next stories. Another journey, another sorrow, another act of courage.